As we journey through life, reaching the milestone of 60 and beyond, we often gain a deeper appreciation for the preciousness of each day, the comfort of familiar routines, and the importance of our health and well-being. We've lived through many seasons, witnessed countless changes, and accumulated a wealth of experience and wisdom. And with this journey comes a heightened awareness of taking care of ourselves, ensuring we can continue to enjoy life to the fullest in the years to come. One health concern that becomes increasingly relevant as we age is stroke. It's a word that can understandably cause worry, but it's also a condition we can be proactive about. Think of it as navigating the road ahead. Being aware of potential bumps and turns allows us to drive more safely and confidently. Understanding stroke, especially the early warning signs, and knowing how to take preventative steps becomes an act of self-care, an empowerment to maintain our independence and vitality as we move forward. Did you know that your body often gives you clues, gentle nudges, before a stroke might occur? These aren't dramatic alarms, but rather subtle shifts and signals, changes in how you feel, things you might notice that are just not quite right. Recognizing these early signs isn't about being fearful, but about being informed and attentive to your body's wisdom. In this video, we'll gently explore these important warning signs, offering you clear and practical information, specifically tailored for those of us in our 60s and beyond, so you can feel more in control and confident about your health. We'll talk about what stroke is, why it's important to be aware of it as we get older, and most importantly, what you can do to help prevent it. Stroke doesn't have to be an inevitable part of aging. Often, it's something we can significantly reduce our risk of through knowledge and proactive choices. Let's take this journey together, calmly and confidently, to understand how to protect our precious brain health and continue living life to the fullest. Sign number 1, blood pressure creeping up. Listen to the whispers, not just the shouts. Let's start with something many of us are familiar with, especially as we've celebrated a few more birthdays. Blood pressure. Our first, and perhaps most crucial warning sign is when our blood pressure starts to creep up. Now, as we age, it's not uncommon for blood pressure to naturally nudge upwards a little. But it's important to be aware of what's considered healthy and when it might be signaling something more significant, something that could be a precursor to stroke. High blood pressure or hypertension becomes more prevalent as we get older. It's like the plumbing in our homes. Over the years, the pipes can experience a bit more wear and tear. When blood pressure is consistently too high, it puts extra strain on our arteries, those vital blood vessels carrying lifeblood to our brain and body. Think of it like gently but persistently overinflating a tire. Over time, the tire walls can weaken. Similarly, sustained high blood pressure can weaken and damage our arteries. We mentioned the two main types of stroke: hemorrhagic, where a blood vessel bleeds, and ischemic, where a blood vessel gets blocked. High blood pressure plays a significant role in both, especially as we age. In hemorrhagic stroke, years of high blood pressure can weaken the walls of arteries in the brain, making them more susceptible to rupture and bleeding. It's like those worn-out tire walls finally giving way under pressure. For those of us who might have conditions that could increase bleeding, like taking certain medications or having specific health conditions, high blood pressure can act as a trigger, increasing the risk of a bleed in the brain. In ischemic stroke, where a blockage is the problem, high blood pressure speeds up the process of hardening of the arteries, or atherosclerosis. Imagine cholesterol and fatty deposits building up inside the arteries, narrowing them like those plumbing pipes slowly getting clogged. High blood pressure accelerates this process, damaging the inner lining of the arteries and making it easier for these blockages to form. It's like that high water pressure in old pipes, causing more sediment to accumulate and clog things up. So whether it's a bleed or a blockage, high blood pressure is a major concern for stroke risk, especially as we age. It's often a silent condition, meaning we might not feel any dramatic symptoms, especially in the early stages. This is why it's sometimes called the silent killer. We might feel perfectly normal, even with elevated blood pressure, but the damage to our arteries is happening quietly behind the scenes. Many of us, when we get our blood pressure checked, might hear the doctor say it's a bit high, and we might think, well, I feel fine, it must be okay for me. Or my pressure is always a little high, it's just normal for me now. It's a common thought, but it's important to understand that even if you feel normal, consistently elevated blood pressure is still putting strain on your arteries and increasing your risk over time. It's like saying, "My car always makes this noise, it must be normal," when it could be a sign of a developing problem. What are healthy blood pressure numbers to aim for as we get older? Generally, a target of around 120/80 mmHg is still a good goal for many, even in our 60s and beyond. Sometimes, depending on individual health conditions, doctors might suggest slightly different targets, but consistently reading above 140/90 mmHg is generally considered high blood pressure, requiring attention. Even readings consistently in the 130s/80s might be considered elevated and something to discuss with your doctor, especially if you have other risk factors. The key takeaway for us is regular blood pressure checks. It's not just something for younger folks. It becomes even more important as we age. Checking our blood pressure at home using a simple home monitor can be really helpful. It gives us a better picture of our blood pressure in our everyday environment, not just during a doctor's visit, which can sometimes be a bit stressful and raise readings artificially, what's called white coat hypertension, which we'll touch upon later. So listen to those whispers of warning, not just the shouts. If your blood pressure readings are consistently creeping up, even if you feel okay, it's time to have a chat with your doctor. Regular monitoring, understanding your numbers, and working with your doctor to manage your blood pressure are crucial steps in protecting ourselves from stroke as we enjoy our 60s and beyond. Sign number 2, headaches that feel different. Pay attention to the unusual. Now let's talk about headaches. We've all had our share of headaches over the years. A bit of tension, a sinus headache, maybe even a migraine or two. But as we get older, it's important to be a little more discerning about headaches, especially if we notice a headache that feels different from our usual experiences. This different headache can sometimes be a warning sign related to stroke. Headaches can occur both when there's a blockage of blood flow in the brain, ischemic stroke, and when there's bleeding in the brain, hemorrhagic stroke. The exact reasons are complex, but it's thought to involve changes in pressure within the head, irritation of pain-sensitive nerves, and inflammation. The key thing to pay attention to is when a headache feels atypical. Think of it as a headache that doesn't fit your usual pattern, something that stands out as unusual. This atypical headache often has two main characteristics. It might be progressive or sudden and severe. A progressive headache is one that gradually gets worse over time. It might start as a mild ache, something you could easily ignore, but over days or even weeks, it steadily intensifies, becoming more frequent and more painful. It's like a small leak that slowly turns into a bigger problem. This type of headache might suggest a developing issue within the brain, like a gradual narrowing of a blood vessel or a slow, subtle bleed. A sudden and severe headache, often called a thunderclap headache, is like a lightning strike. It comes on intensely and abruptly, reaching its maximum pain level within minutes, sometimes even seconds. People often describe it as the worst headache of my life, a pain unlike anything they've ever experienced before. This type of headache is especially concerning as it can be a sign of bleeding around the brain, what's called a subarachnoid hemorrhage, a serious type of hemorrhagic stroke. With these sudden, severe headaches, sometimes there are other symptoms too, like sudden vision problems, feeling very sick to your stomach, or neck stiffness. These additional symptoms make it even more important to seek immediate medical attention. So the message here is, be aware of your usual headache patterns. If you experience a headache that feels different, that doesn't fit your normal pattern, especially if it's progressively worsening or suddenly severe, don't just dismiss it as another headache. Pay attention to the unusual. It's always wise to get it checked out by your doctor, just to be safe. It's better to be cautious and find out it's nothing serious than to ignore a warning sign that could be important for your health. Especially as we get older, listening to our bodies and noticing these different signals becomes even more important. Sign number 3, funny turns or mini strokes. Don't ignore the brief alarms. Now let's talk about something that might sound a bit less familiar, but is really important to understand: mini strokes. You might hear doctors call them transient ischemic attacks, or TIAs for short. Think of them as warning strokes. They're like a brief alarm bell going off, telling us there might be a bigger problem brewing. A TIA happens when the blood supply to part of the brain is temporarily interrupted. It causes stroke-like symptoms, but here's the key difference. These symptoms are temporary. They usually resolve completely within a short time, often within minutes, and almost always within 24 hours. It's like a momentary traffic jam in the brain's blood vessels. The traffic gets blocked briefly, causing a bit of disruption, but then the jam clears and everything seems to go back to normal. The symptoms of a TIA are actually the same as those of a full-blown stroke. They can include sudden numbness or weakness on one side of the body, difficulty speaking, changes in vision, or balance problems. You might experience one or more of these symptoms, but they are fleeting. They come on suddenly, but then they disappear, often leaving you feeling perfectly fine afterwards. Because these symptoms are temporary, it's easy to think, oh, it was just a funny turn. It's gone now, so it must not be anything serious. And that's where the danger lies. Dismissing a TIA as just a little episode can be a big mistake. TIAs are actually very strong predictors of a future, more serious stroke. Think of a TIA as a fire alarm going off briefly in your house. Even if it stops ringing and everything seems okay, it's still a warning. It tells you there might be a potential fire hazard somewhere, even if you don't see flames right now. Ignoring the alarm could be risky. Studies show that people who have a TIA are at a much higher risk of having a full stroke later on. In fact, a significant number of people who have a TIA will go on to have a stroke, sometimes quite soon after. This is why doctors call TIAs warning strokes. They are a clear signal that something is wrong with the blood supply to the brain and needs to be investigated urgently. So if you experience any sudden stroke-like symptoms, even if they disappear quickly and completely, please don't ignore them. Don't brush them aside as just getting older or a bit of dizziness. Treat them as a serious warning. Don't wait to see if they come back. Don't schedule a regular doctor's appointment for next week. Seek medical help right away. Go to the emergency room or call for immediate medical assistance. Think of it this way: a TIA is a maximum alert signal. It's your body urgently telling you, something is not right with my brain's blood supply. Please get this checked out immediately. Prompt medical evaluation after a TIA is crucial. Doctors can do tests to find out why the TIA happened, assess your overall stroke risk, and put measures in place to help prevent a more serious stroke from occurring in the future. Remember, with strokes, time is brain. Acting quickly can make a huge difference. Don't let a funny turn into something much more serious. Sign number 4, numbness or weakness when one side feels off. Let's move on to another important warning sign: sudden numbness or weakness, especially when it affects just one side of the body. This is often a more noticeable and alarming symptom, and it's definitely something to take very seriously. Imagine suddenly finding that one arm feels heavy, difficult to lift, or just not quite working as well as usual. Or perhaps one side of your face feels droopy or numb, making it hard to smile evenly. Or maybe one leg feels weak or clumsy, causing you to drag your foot when you walk. These are all examples of sudden onset numbness or weakness on one side of the body, and they can be significant warning signs of a stroke or TIA. Why does stroke-related numbness or weakness usually affect just one side? It's because of how our brain is wired. Our brain has two halves, the left and the right hemispheres, and each hemisphere mainly controls the opposite side of the body. So if a stroke affects the left side of the brain, it will usually cause symptoms on the right side of the body and vice versa. It's like a crossed connection. This is why doctors often ask, is the weakness or numbness on one side or both? One-sided weakness or numbness is a strong clue that points towards a brain issue, like a stroke. This numbness or weakness can feel different for different people. It might be a complete loss of movement, like paralysis, where you can't move your arm or leg at all. More often, it's a subtle weakness where you can still move, but it feels weaker, clumsier, or less coordinated than usual. It might feel like your arm or leg is heavy, or like it's falling asleep, but won't wake up properly. Sometimes it's just a tingling or pins and needles sensation, but only on one side of the body. Think about trying to lift both arms straight out in front of you. If one arm drifts downwards without you realizing it, that could be a sign of weakness. Or try smiling. If one side of your mouth droops or doesn't move as well as the other, that could be facial weakness. Try walking. If you notice yourself dragging one leg or feeling unsteady on one side, that could be leg weakness. It's important to remember that the symptoms can vary. It might just be in an arm or just in a leg, or it could affect the face, arm, and leg on one side. The key is that it's on one side of the body and it's sudden in onset. Even if the numbness or weakness is temporary, if it comes and goes, it's still a serious warning sign, possibly a TIA. Don't think that because it's not permanent, it's not important. As we talked about earlier, TIAs are very important warnings. So if you experience any sudden onset numbness or weakness, especially on one side of your body, please take it seriously. Don't wait to see if it gets better on its own. Don't try to walk it off or sleep it off. Seek immediate medical attention. Time is really critical when it comes to stroke. Getting help quickly can make a big difference in the outcome. It's always better to be safe and get checked out, even if it turns out to be something else. Sign number 5, trouble with speech, words getting tangled or hard to understand. Another warning sign, often quite unsettling, is sudden difficulty with speech. This can take different forms, but basically, it means trouble either speaking clearly yourself or understanding what others are saying to you. Changes in speech are a very important indicator of a potential stroke or TIA. Imagine suddenly finding it hard to get your words out or noticing your speech is slurred, like you've had too much to drink, even though you haven't. Or perhaps you're trying to say something, but the words just won't come out right, or you use the wrong words without realizing it. Or maybe you're listening to someone speak, but their words just sound like gibberish, and you can't understand what they're saying. These are all examples of sudden speech difficulties that can be stroke warning signs. There are specific areas in our brain that control language. For most of us, these areas are mainly on the left side of the brain. When a stroke or TIA affects these language areas, it can disrupt our ability to speak and understand language. One type of speech difficulty is trouble speaking clearly. This might be slurred speech, where words sound mumbled or garbled, or it could be difficulty finding the right words, using the wrong words, or speaking in sentences that don't make sense. The person might be aware that they are having trouble speaking and feel frustrated by it. Another type of speech difficulty is trouble understanding speech. Someone might be talking to you, but their words just sound like noise and you can't grasp the meaning. You might ask them to repeat themselves, but it still doesn't make sense. Or you might misunderstand what they are saying and give answers that are completely off topic. If you are talking to someone and suddenly notice they are having trouble understanding you, or their own speech becomes strange or confusing, pay attention. It's especially important if this change is sudden. If you're having a normal conversation and then suddenly they seem unable to comprehend you or their responses are nonsensical, it's a red flag. Sometimes people with stroke-related speech problems might not even realize they are speaking strangely. It's often family members or friends who notice the change first. That's why it's important to be aware of these signs, not just in yourself, but also in those around you, especially our loved ones who are over 60, as stroke risk increases with age. Remember the FAST acronym, which helps us remember the main stroke signs: face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call emergency services. The S for speech difficulty is crucial. If you notice sudden speech problems in yourself or someone else, act fast. Don't hesitate. Every minute counts when it comes to stroke. Getting to the hospital quickly can significantly improve the chances of recovery and reduce long-term disability. If words suddenly become tangled or hard to understand, it's time to act. Sign number 6, balance suddenly feeling off, unsteadiness and dizziness we shouldn't ignore. Let's talk about balance. As we get older, it's not uncommon to feel a little unsteady on our feet sometimes. Maybe we attribute it to just getting older, or perhaps we've had a dizzy spell now and then. But it's important to pay attention to sudden changes in balance, especially if they are new, persistent, or feel different from anything we've experienced before. Sudden balance problems can be another important warning sign related to stroke. Imagine suddenly feeling dizzy, like the room is spinning around you even when you're sitting or standing still. Or perhaps you feel unsteady when you walk, like you might lose your balance and fall, even on a smooth, level surface. Maybe you find yourself stumbling or needing to hold onto furniture to steady yourself. These are examples of sudden balance problems that we shouldn't just dismiss, especially as we get older. Our sense of balance is actually quite complex. It's controlled by several parts of our brain working together, including an area at the back of the brain called the cerebellum and the brainstem, which connects the brain to the spinal cord. These areas, along with our inner ears and our eyes, constantly send signals to our brain to help us stay upright and coordinated. If a stroke or TIA affects these balance centers in the brain, it can disrupt these signals and lead to sudden balance problems. It's like if the control tower at an airport suddenly had a problem, the planes might have trouble landing smoothly. A blockage or bleed in the blood vessels supplying these balance centers can impair their function and cause us to feel dizzy, unsteady, or uncoordinated. One common symptom is vertigo. Vertigo isn't just feeling a little lightheaded, it's a more intense sensation of spinning. It's like being on a carousel that's suddenly gone into overdrive. You might feel like you yourself are spinning or that the world around you is spinning, even when you know you're not moving. Vertigo can be very disorienting and make it difficult to walk or even stand up. Another balance problem is ataxia. Ataxia is a lack of coordination. It can affect our walking, making our gait unsteady or wobbly. We might find ourselves swaying from side to side, having trouble walking in a straight line, or feeling like we're going to fall. It's like walking on a boat in choppy waters. Everything feels unstable. Sometimes these balance problems can be quite subtle at first and come on gradually. We might just notice we're feeling a bit more unsteady than usual or that we're stumbling more often. But it's important to pay attention even to these milder changes, especially if they are new or getting worse. If you experience a sudden onset of dizziness, vertigo, unsteadiness, or unexplained falls, especially if it's accompanied by other symptoms like headache, numbness, or speech problems, it's important to take it seriously. Don't just assume it's age-related dizziness or just a bit off balance. It could be a warning sign of a stroke or TIA. It's always wise to get these sudden balance issues checked out by a doctor, especially if you're over 60 or have other risk factors for stroke, like high blood pressure or diabetes. It's better to be cautious and find out it's not serious than to ignore a warning sign that could be important for your health and independence. Keeping our balance strong is so important for staying active and independent as we enjoy our later years. Sign number 7, feeling overwhelmingly tired, fatigue that, not just tiredness. Now let's talk about something that might seem quite ordinary, but can sometimes be a subtle stroke warning sign, feeling excessively tired. We all feel tired from time to time, especially as we get older. Life can be busy, and sometimes we just need a good rest. But there's a type of fatigue that's different, a profound, overwhelming tiredness that, not just tiredness, and this can sometimes be a signal to pay attention to, especially in relation to stroke risk. Think about feeling unusually drained, utterly exhausted, for no apparent reason. It's not just the normal tiredness after a busy day or a restless night. It's a deep, persistent fatigue that comes on suddenly, feels much stronger than usual, and doesn't get better with rest. It's like feeling like you're running on empty, even after you've had a good night's sleep. This type of excessive fatigue can sometimes be a subtle warning sign before a stroke. It's not always a dramatic symptom, and it can easily be overlooked or attributed to other things, like just getting older, stress, or a mild illness. But it's important to be aware of it, especially if it's new, unexplained, and feels different from your usual tiredness. Why might fatigue be related to stroke? It's thought that subtle changes in blood flow to the brain, even before a major stroke event, can sometimes cause feelings of unusual tiredness. A TIA, even though it's temporary, can still disrupt the brain's normal function and lead to fatigue. Sometimes, very subtle blockages or reduced blood flow in certain brain areas, even if they don't cause obvious stroke symptoms, can still contribute to a general feeling of fatigue and unwellness. It's important to understand that fatigue is a very common symptom, and it can be caused by many things, most of which are not stroke. Simple things like not getting enough sleep, stress, overdoing it, or having a mild cold or flu can all make us feel tired. More serious conditions like anemia, thyroid problems, heart conditions, or even depression can also cause fatigue. So fatigue alone is not enough to say someone is having a stroke. However, if you experience excessive fatigue that is sudden in onset, unexplained, and feels very different from your usual tiredness, and especially if you have other risk factors for stroke, it's worth paying attention to. Think about it in context. Is this fatigue much stronger than usual? Did it come on suddenly? Is there any other reason you can think of to explain it? Are you also experiencing any other subtle symptoms, like a mild headache, slight dizziness, or a bit of clumsiness? If you are concerned about unexplained and excessive fatigue, it's always best to talk to your doctor, especially if you are over 60 or have other stroke risk factors. Your doctor can assess your overall health, consider other possible causes of fatigue, and determine if further investigation, including ruling out any vascular issues, is needed. Listening to our bodies and noticing these changes, even if they seem just like tiredness, can be an important part of staying healthy as we enjoy our 60s and beyond. Let's focus now on changes in motor coordination, particularly in our hands. As we age, we might notice subtle changes in our dexterity. Perhaps our hands aren't quite as nimble as they used to be. But a sudden or noticeable change in coordination, especially in one hand or arm, can be another warning sign of a potential stroke or TIA that we shouldn't ignore. Think about suddenly finding it difficult to do things with your hands that you normally do easily. Maybe you're having trouble buttoning your shirt, fastening jewelry, using cutlery at mealtimes, or writing with a pen. Perhaps you're finding it clumsy to use tools, work on hobbies that require fine motor skills, or even just pick up small objects. These changes in hand coordination, especially if they are new and sudden, can be significant. It's not just about feeling weaker, it's about feeling less coordinated, less precise in your movements. Your hands might feel clumsy, awkward, or like they're not listening to your brain as well as they usually do. It might be just one hand that's affected, or it could be both, but often it's more noticeable on one side. This change in coordination happens because the brain controls our movements, including the fine movements of our hands and fingers. Specific areas in the brain, particularly in the motor cortex and cerebellum, are responsible for planning, executing, and coordinating our movements. If a stroke or TIA affects these areas, it can disrupt the signals from the brain to the muscles, leading to changes in motor coordination. It might not be a complete paralysis where you can't move your hand at all. More often, it's a subtle change in coordination, a feeling of clumsiness or difficulty with fine motor tasks. It's like a pianist suddenly finding their fingers stumbling over the keys, even though they know the music perfectly. You might notice this clumsiness when doing everyday activities. Perhaps you drop things more often than usual. Maybe you find it harder to type on a keyboard or use a smartphone touchscreen. Or you might struggle with tasks that require precise hand movements, like sewing, knitting, or working on puzzles. It's easy to dismiss these changes as just getting older, or a bit of arthritis, or just being clumsy today. And sometimes that might be true. But if you experience a sudden or noticeable change in your hand coordination, especially if it's new, unexplained, and feels different from your usual minor clumsiness, it's worth paying attention to. Try a simple test. Try touching your thumb to each of your fingers on one hand and then on the other hand, quickly and repeatedly. Do you notice any difference in speed, smoothness, or coordination between your two hands? Are you having more trouble with one hand than the other? If you are concerned about a sudden change in hand coordination, especially if it's accompanied by other potential stroke symptoms, it's always wise to talk to your doctor. It could be a sign of a stroke or TIA, and early detection is key. Maintaining good hand function is so important for our independence and quality of life as we enjoy our 60s and beyond, so paying attention to these subtle changes is a valuable act of self-care. Sign number 9. Vision suddenly changing. Don't ignore the blurry or double vision. Finally, let's discuss changes in vision. As we get older, many of us experience changes in our eyesight. We might need reading glasses or notice things are a bit blurrier than they used to be. But sudden, unexplained changes in vision, especially if they are new and different, can be an important warning sign of a potential stroke or TIA. Think about suddenly experiencing blurred vision in one or both eyes, like things have become hazy or out of focus. Or perhaps you suddenly start seeing double, seeing two images of everything. Or maybe you experience a sudden loss of vision, even if it's just temporary, like a curtain coming down over your eye. Any sudden, unexplained change in your vision should be taken seriously. Our vision is processed in the brain, primarily in the back part of the brain, called the occipital lobe. The eyes themselves are like cameras, but it's the brain that actually sees and interprets what our eyes take in. If a stroke or TIA affects the areas of the brain responsible for vision, it can lead to various visual disturbances. Blurred vision that comes on suddenly, especially in one eye, is a key symptom to watch for. It might feel like your vision has suddenly become cloudy or foggy, making it hard to see clearly, even with your glasses on. Double vision, diplopia, seeing two images of a single object, is another important visual symptom. This happens when the muscles that control our eye movements are not working together properly, often due to a problem in the brainstem or cranial nerves, which can be affected by a stroke. Sudden vision loss, even if it's just temporary, is also a serious warning sign. This can sometimes be described as a curtain coming down or across your vision in one eye, causing temporary blindness in that eye, what doctors call amaurosis fugax. This can be caused by a temporary blockage in the blood vessels supplying the eye, and it's a strong warning sign of increased stroke risk. It's important to distinguish between gradual vision changes that develop over time, which are often related to normal aging or eye conditions like cataracts or macular degeneration, and sudden vision changes that come on abruptly. Gradual changes are usually less concerning in terms of stroke risk, while sudden changes are more likely to be related to a vascular event in the brain. Any sudden visual change, especially if it's accompanied by other stroke symptoms like headache, dizziness, numbness, or speech problems, should be evaluated by a doctor immediately. Don't wait to see if it gets better on its own. Don't assume it's just my eyes playing tricks on me. Sudden vision changes can be a serious sign, and prompt medical attention is crucial. It's always better to err on the side of caution when it comes to sudden changes in vision, especially as we get older. Protecting our eyesight is vital for maintaining our independence and enjoying life to the fullest in our 60s and beyond. Paying attention to these visual warning signs and seeking prompt medical help can make a real difference. 9 practical steps for stroke prevention, taking charge of your health after 60. We've just talked about those important warning signs, the whispers and nudges our bodies might give us before a stroke. Now, let's turn our attention to something even more empowering, what we can actively do to prevent stroke, especially as we enjoy our 60s, 70s, and beyond. It's about taking charge of our health, making smart choices, and reducing our risk of stroke so we can continue to live vibrant, independent, and fulfilling lives. These aren't just general health tips. These are 9 practical, evidence-based steps, specifically tailored for those of us over 60, to help protect our brain health and significantly lower our stroke risk. Think of them as 9 keys to unlock a healthier, stroke-free future. Step number 1. Enjoy flavor without the excess salt, smart sodium choices for a healthy heart. Let's start with diet, and specifically salt. Our first step towards stroke prevention is making smart choices about salt and sodium in our diet. As we get older, our bodies can become more sensitive to the effects of salt, and reducing excess salt intake becomes even more important for managing blood pressure and protecting our arteries. Now we all enjoy flavorful food, and salt certainly adds to the taste of many dishes. But in today's world, it's easy to consume way too much salt without even realizing it. Much of the excess salt in our diets comes from processed foods, restaurant meals, and ready-made snacks. It's often hidden salt that we don't even see or taste directly. Studies show that for us in the 60-plus age group, reducing salt intake can be particularly effective in lowering blood pressure. And as we know, lower blood pressure directly translates to lower stroke risk. Think of it as easing the strain on your heart and arteries, making them work less hard just by being a bit more mindful of salt. The general recommendation is to aim for no more than 5 grams of salt per day. That might sound like a lot or a little, depending on how you look at it. But to make it more practical, focus on reducing sodium, which is what you see on food labels. Aim for around 2 grams of sodium per day. Many of us are consuming double or even triple that amount without realizing it. Here are some practical tips to enjoy flavor without the excess salt, especially tailored for our age group. Cook more meals at home. When we cook at home, we have much more control over how much salt goes into our food. Use fresh ingredients and season with herbs, spices, lemon juice, garlic, and other flavorful ingredients instead of relying heavily on salt. Experiment with different seasonings to discover new flavors and reduce your dependence on salt. Read food labels carefully. Become a label detective. Check the sodium content on packaged foods like soups, sauces, canned goods, processed meats, and ready meals. You might be surprised at how much sodium is lurking in seemingly innocent items. Choose low sodium or no salt added options whenever possible. Pay attention to serving sizes too. Sodium amounts are usually listed per serving. Limit processed and restaurant foods. Processed foods and restaurant meals are often loaded with hidden salt to enhance flavor and preservation. Reduce your consumption of these items and opt for fresh, whole foods instead. When eating out, ask if they can prepare your meal with less salt. Taste before you salt. Get into the habit of tasting your food before adding salt at the table. You might find that it already has enough flavor without adding extra salt. Our taste buds can adapt to lower salt levels over time, and you might actually start to prefer less salty food. Be mindful of salty snacks. Chips, pretzels, crackers, salted nuts. These are common snacks that can contribute significantly to our daily sodium intake. Choose unsalted nuts, fresh fruits, vegetables with humus, or plain yogurt with berries as healthier snack options. Use salt substitutes with caution. Salt substitutes that replace sodium with potassium chloride are available, but they might not be suitable for everyone, especially those with kidney problems or certain medications. Talk to your doctor before using salt substitutes. Reducing salt intake isn't about sacrificing flavor. It's about discovering new ways to enhance the taste of our food while protecting our heart and brain health. It's a wise choice we can make to enjoy our meals and stay healthier in our 60s and beyond. Let's savor the flavors of life without the excess salt. Step number 2, keeping blood sugar balanced. Gentle ways to sweeten life without excess sugar. Our second step is all about blood sugar. As we get a bit older, our bodies can sometimes become a little less efficient at managing sugar in our blood. It's like a gentle shift in how our engine runs. Keeping our blood sugar levels in a healthy range becomes even more important as we age, and it's a key way to protect ourselves from stroke. High blood sugar, often linked to conditions like prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, can be like a subtle sandpaper to our blood vessels over time. It can gently damage the delicate inner linings of our arteries, making them more prone to narrowing and blockages. This is why managing blood sugar is so important for heart and brain health, especially as we journey into our 60s and beyond. Now, managing blood sugar isn't about drastic diets or feeling deprived. It's about making gentle, sustainable adjustments to our lifestyle that can make a real difference. Think of it as fine-tuning our engine for smoother running. Here are some gentle and practical ways to keep blood sugar balanced, tailored for our 60-plus years. Focus on whole foods, nature's goodness. Instead of getting caught up in complicated diets, let's focus on enjoying whole foods. These are foods in their natural, less processed forms. Think fruits, vegetables, whole grains like oats, brown rice, whole wheat bread, lean proteins like fish, chicken, beans, and healthy fats like olive oil, avocados, nuts. These foods are naturally lower in added sugars and often higher in fiber, which helps to slow down sugar absorption and keep blood sugar levels steadier. Enjoy fruits, but be mindful of portions. Fruits are wonderful and full of vitamins and goodness. Enjoy them, but because fruits contain natural sugars, it's wise to be mindful of portions. Instead of a large bowl of fruit salad, Perhaps enjoy a piece of fruit with a meal or as a snack. Pairing fruit with a bit of protein or healthy fat, like a few nuts with an apple slice, can also help to slow down sugar absorption. Choose whole grains over refined grains. When choosing breads, cereals, and grains, opt for whole grain options whenever possible. Whole grains, like whole wheat bread, brown rice, oats, are digested more slowly than refined grains, like white bread, white rice, sugary cereals, leading to a gentler rise in blood sugar. Think of whole grains as providing a slower, steadier release of energy. Be savvy with sweets. Occasional treats are okay. We all enjoy a little sweetness in life. It's not about completely denying ourselves treats, but about being savvy and making sweets occasional rather than everyday habits. Instead of sugary drinks or desserts daily, perhaps enjoy a small portion of dessert once or twice a week as a special treat. When you do indulge, savor it and enjoy it mindfully. Spread meals throughout the day, regular fueling. Instead of large, infrequent meals, try to spread your meals and snacks more evenly throughout the day. Eating regular, balanced meals and snacks can help to keep blood sugar levels more stable and prevent big spikes and dips. Think of it as providing your engine with regular, consistent fuel. Stay active. Gentle movement makes a difference. As we discussed in the previous tip, regular physical activity is wonderful for overall health, and it's also fantastic for blood sugar control. Even gentle movement, like a daily walk, gardening, or chair exercises, can help our bodies use sugar more effectively and keep blood sugar levels balanced. Talk to your doctor. Personalized guidance. If you have concerns about your blood sugar, or if you have been told you have prediabetes or diabetes, have a chat with your doctor. They can provide personalized advice based on your individual health needs and guide you on the best ways to manage your blood sugar and reduce your stroke risk. Keeping blood sugar balanced isn't about deprivation. It's about making wise and gentle choices that support our health and well-being as we enjoy our 60s and beyond. It's about sweetening life in healthy ways without letting excess sugar become a burden on our arteries. Step number 3, breathe easier, live longer, saying no to smoking, even now. Our third step is a really important one, and I know many of us have heard it before, but it's never too late to emphasize saying no to smoking. Now, for those of us over 60, some of us may have smoked in the past, or perhaps even still do. It might feel like, well, the damage is done. What's the point of quitting now? But the truth is, it's always beneficial to quit smoking at any age. And for stroke prevention, stopping smoking, even after years of smoking, can make a significant positive impact. We know that smoking is harmful to our blood vessels and overall health. It's like a persistent irritant, constantly inflaming and damaging our arteries, making them more prone to narrowing and blockages. And this damage increases our risk of stroke significantly. Perhaps you started smoking many years ago when we didn't know as much about the dangers. Perhaps it became a habit, a way to cope with stress, or just something you've always done. But even if you've smoked for decades, quitting now can still bring remarkable benefits. It's never too late to give your body a chance to heal. When you stop smoking, almost immediately, your body starts to repair itself. Your blood pressure and heart rate can start to come down, your circulation begins to improve, and your risk of blood clots and stroke starts to decrease. It's like giving your arteries a chance to breathe and recover. Quitting smoking isn't easy, we know that. Nicotine is addictive, and breaking the habit can be challenging. But it's absolutely achievable, and there's so much support available now to help us quit successfully, even in our 60s, 70s, and beyond. Here's some encouragement and practical support for quitting smoking, tailored for us. It's a gift to yourself and your loved ones. Quitting smoking is one of the most loving gifts you can give yourself. It's about reclaiming your health, adding years to your life, and feeling stronger and more energetic to enjoy your time with family and friends. Think of it as investing in more quality time to spend doing the things you love with the people you cherish. Talk to your doctor, they can help. Your doctor is a wonderful resource and can provide real help with quitting smoking. They can discuss different methods that can help, like nicotine replacement therapy, patches, gum, lozenges, or medications that can reduce cravings. They can also offer encouragement and support and connect you with resources. Explore support programs. You're not alone. There are many excellent support programs specifically designed to help people quit smoking, and many are tailored for older adults. These programs offer counseling, group support, and practical strategies to manage cravings and stay on track. You can find these programs through your doctor, local hospitals, or online. Remember, you are not alone in this journey, and there's a whole community of people who understand and want to help. Focus on the why, your personal motivation. Think about your personal reasons for wanting to quit. Is it to be healthier for your grandchildren, to be more active and enjoy hobbies, to reduce your risk of stroke and other serious illnesses? Write down your whys and keep them close by as reminders and motivators when cravings strike. Celebrate small victories. Every step counts. Quitting smoking is a journey, and every step forward is a victory. Celebrate each milestone, no matter how small, making it through a day without smoking, resisting a craving, reaching a week smoke-free. Acknowledge your progress and be proud of yourself for each step you take. Saying no to smoking, even after many years, is an act of courage and self-compassion. It's about choosing a healthier, brighter future for ourselves, breathing easier, and living longer to enjoy all the good things life has to offer in our 60s and beyond. It's never too late to extinguish that fire within and embrace a smoke-free, healthier chapter. Step number 4, wise choices for cholesterol, balancing fats for a healthy flow. Our fourth step brings us to cholesterol. Now, cholesterol can sound a bit complicated, and we might hear conflicting information about it. But for us, in our 60s and beyond, understanding the basics of cholesterol and making wise choices about managing it is really important for stroke prevention. Think of cholesterol as a type of fat that travels in our blood. We actually need cholesterol for our bodies to function properly. It helps build cells and make hormones. But too much of certain types of cholesterol, especially as we get older, can become a problem for our arteries. The main type of cholesterol we need to be mindful of is called LDL cholesterol, often referred to as bad cholesterol. High levels of LDL cholesterol can contribute to plaque buildup in our arteries, what we call atherosclerosis. Imagine cholesterol particles like tiny pebbles that can stick to the artery walls and gradually narrow the blood vessels. This narrowing can restrict blood flow and increase the risk of blockages, leading to stroke. As we age, our cholesterol levels can naturally tend to rise a bit. And for some of us, genetics might also play a role in our cholesterol levels. That's why it's important to get our cholesterol checked regularly and take steps to manage it if needed, especially as part of our stroke prevention efforts. Managing cholesterol isn't about eliminating all fats from our diet. In fact, we need healthy fats. It's about making wise choices and focusing on the right kinds of fats, and sometimes, if needed, working with our doctors on medication. Here's some practical guidance on making wise cholesterol choices, tailored for our age group. Focus on heart-healthy fats, the good kind. Let's embrace heart-healthy fats, the good fats that can actually help improve our cholesterol levels. These are unsaturated fats, found in foods like olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish, like salmon and tuna. These fats can help raise HDL cholesterol, good cholesterol, and lower LDL cholesterol, bad cholesterol. Think of them as helping to clean our arteries. Limit saturated and trans fats, the less helpful kind. Let's be mindful of saturated and trans fats. These are often found in red meat, processed meats, fried foods, and some baked goods. These fats can raise LDL cholesterol and contribute to artery plaque. It's not about completely avoiding them, but about limiting them and making them occasional treats rather than everyday staples. Enjoy soluble fiber, nature's cholesterol helper. Soluble fiber, found in foods like oats, beans, lentils, apples, and pears, can help lower LDL cholesterol. Think of soluble fiber as acting like a sponge, soaking up cholesterol in our digestive system and helping to remove it from our bodies. Adding more of these fiber-rich foods to our diet is a gentle and effective way to support healthy cholesterol levels. Regular checkups and doctor's advice. Regular cholesterol checks are important, especially as we get older. Talk to your doctor about your cholesterol levels and what your individual targets should be. Your doctor can assess your overall risk factors and advise you on lifestyle changes and whether medication might be helpful to manage your cholesterol effectively. Don't hesitate to ask questions and get personalized guidance. Lifestyle first, medication if needed, a balanced approach. For many of us, lifestyle changes, like diet and exercise, can make a significant difference in managing cholesterol. Focus on these healthy habits first. If lifestyle changes alone aren't enough to reach healthy cholesterol targets, medication might be recommended by your doctor. It's a balanced approach, working with your doctor to find what's best for you. Making wise choices about cholesterol is about finding a balance, enjoying flavorful foods, including healthy fats, and working with our doctors to keep our cholesterol levels in a healthy range. It's about nourishing our bodies and supporting a healthy flow in our arteries as we enjoy our 60s and beyond. Step number 5. Move with joy, stay strong, finding physical activity that fits your life after 60. Our fifth step is all about movement and physical activity. Now, I know exercise can sometimes sound like a chore or something that's hard to fit into our day, especially as we get older. But let's think of it instead as moving with joy, finding ways to be active that we actually enjoy and that fit comfortably into our lives after 60. Regular physical activity is truly powerful medicine, and it's wonderful for protecting our brains and reducing stroke risk, no matter our age. Think of movement as keeping our engine gently running smoothly. It helps our blood flow better, keeps our heart strong, and even helps manage things like blood sugar and weight, all of which are important for stroke prevention. It's not about running marathons or doing strenuous workouts. It's about finding ways to move our bodies regularly in ways that feel good and sustainable. For those of us in our 60s and beyond, it's about finding activities that are gentle on our joints, enjoyable, and fit our current fitness levels. It's about listening to our bodies and choosing movement that feels good and energizing, not draining or painful. Here are some ideas for moving with joy and making physical activity a happy part of our lives after 60. Walking, a simple and wonderful start. Walking is truly one of the best exercises, and it's so accessible. A daily walk, even a short one, can make a big difference. Start with a comfortable pace and distance, and gradually increase as you feel stronger. Walk in your neighborhood, in a park, with a friend, or even indoors on a treadmill or in a shopping mall if the weather is not ideal. Walking is gentle on the joints, good for our heart, and a lovely way to enjoy the outdoors and clear our minds. Gentle exercises at home, easy and convenient. There are so many wonderful gentle exercises we can do right in our own homes, no gym required. Think of chair exercises, stretching, light strength training with small weights or resistance bands, or even just putting on some music and dancing gently in your living room. There are many free videos online and in libraries that offer gentle exercise routines specifically designed for seniors. Home exercises are convenient, can be done at our own pace, and are a great way to stay active indoors. Water activities, kind to joints, great for fitness. If you have access to a pool, water activities are fantastic, especially if joints are a bit creaky. Swimming, water aerobics, or even just walking in the water are very gentle on the joints, yet provide a wonderful cardiovascular workout. Water provides buoyancy, making movement easier and less impactful. It's a refreshing and enjoyable way to exercise. Gardening, active and rewarding. For those of us who enjoy being outdoors and have a green thumb, gardening is a wonderful form of physical activity. Digging, planting, weeding, and raking all involve movement and can be surprisingly good exercise. Plus, you get the added bonus of beautiful flowers or fresh vegetables. Gardening is a gentle, fulfilling, and productive way to stay active. Chair yoga or Tai Chi, balance and flexibility. Consider gentle forms of exercise like chair yoga or Tai Chi. These are often specifically designed for seniors and focus on balance, flexibility, and gentle movements. They can improve balance, reduce the risk of falls, and promote overall well-being. Classes are often available at community centers or senior centers. These practices are calming, centering, and great for both body and mind. Listen to your body, pace yourself, and enjoy. The most important thing is to listen to your body and pace yourself. Start slowly, gradually increase your activity level, and don't push yourself too hard, especially when starting a new activity. Choose activities you genuinely enjoy so exercise feels like a pleasure, not a burden. The goal is to move with joy, feel stronger, and stay active in ways that are sustainable and enjoyable for the long run. Remember, any movement is better than no movement. Even small amounts of regular physical activity can make a big difference in our health and stroke risk. Let's find joy in movement, stay strong, and keep our bodies and brains healthy and happy in our 60s and beyond. Step number 6. Finding your healthy weight, gentle shifts for long-term well-being after 60. Our sixth step focuses on weight management. Now, weight can be a sensitive topic, and as we get older, our bodies can change, and weight management can sometimes feel more challenging. But finding and maintaining a healthy weight, or even making gentle shifts towards it, is really beneficial for our overall health, and it's a key part of stroke prevention, especially as we journey through our 60s and beyond. Think of carrying extra weight as putting a little extra load on our heart and arteries. It can make them work harder and increase our risk for things like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol, all of which, as we know, increase stroke risk. Finding a healthy weight isn't about striving for a youthful ideal. It's about finding a weight that feels comfortable and supports our long-term health and well-being. For those of us over 60, weight management isn't about crash diets or extreme measures. It's about making gentle, sustainable changes to our eating habits and lifestyle that can lead to gradual and healthy weight management over time. Think of it as making small, consistent adjustments, like gently steering a ship in the right direction. Here are some gentle and practical approaches to finding and maintaining a healthy weight after 60. Focus on balanced eating, not deprivation. Instead of restrictive diets, let's focus on balanced, nourishing eating. Enjoy a variety of whole foods, plenty of fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, and healthy fats. It's about filling our plates with wholesome goodness, rather than feeling deprived or restricted. Think of it as nourishing your body with the fuel it needs to thrive. Portion awareness, gentle moderation, being mindful of portion sizes can make a big difference. As we get older, our metabolism can slow down a bit, and we might not need as much food as we did in our younger years. Using smaller plates, being aware of serving sizes on food labels, and listening to our body's fullness cues can help us eat satisfying meals without overeating. Think of it as gentle moderation, rather than strict calorie counting. Mindful eating, savor each bite. Let's practice mindful eating. This means paying attention to our food, eating slowly, and savoring each bite. It's about eating when we are truly hungry, stopping when we are comfortably full, and enjoying the experience of eating, rather than rushing through meals or eating mindlessly in front of the TV. Mindful eating can help us become more attuned to our body's hunger and fullness signals and prevent overeating. Regular gentle activity, movement supports weight management. As we discussed in the previous tip, regular physical activity is key for overall health, and it's also very helpful for weight management. Even gentle activity, like walking, gardening, or swimming, helps burn calories and build muscle, which supports a healthy metabolism and weight. Combine healthy eating with regular movement for a powerful weight management duo. Small, sustainable changes, gradual progress is key. Weight management is a journey, not a race. Focus on making small, sustainable changes to your eating habits and lifestyle that you can maintain over the long term. Gradual progress is much more effective and lasting than drastic, unsustainable diets. Celebrate small victories and be patient with yourself. Talk to your doctor or a nutritionist, personalized guidance. If you have concerns about your weight, or if you want personalized guidance on healthy eating and weight management, talk to your doctor or a registered dietitian or nutritionist. They can provide tailored advice based on your individual health needs and help you create a healthy and sustainable weight management plan. Finding your healthy weight after 60 is about gentle shifts, sustainable habits, and a focus on long-term well-being, not quick fixes or unrealistic goals. It's about lightening the load on our cardiovascular system, supporting our health, and feeling comfortable and confident in our bodies as we enjoy our lives to the fullest. Step number 7. Restful nights, healthier days, addressing sleep apnea for better brain health after 60. Our seventh step brings us to something that might seem a bit unexpected in stroke prevention, but it's really important, especially as we get older, ensuring restful nights and addressing sleep apnea if it's a concern. Now, sleep apnea might not be something we often think about, but it can have a significant impact on our overall health, including our risk of stroke, particularly as we journey through our 60s and beyond. Think of sleep apnea as interrupted breathing during sleep. It's when, for periods during the night, our breathing can stop and start again repeatedly. This happens because the airway in our throat can become narrowed or blocked while we're sleeping. These breathing interruptions can disrupt our sleep and, importantly, affect our oxygen levels, which can put a strain on our heart and brain over time. For those of us over 60, sleep apnea becomes more common. And while snoring is often associated with sleep apnea, not everyone who snores has sleep apnea, and not everyone with sleep apnea snores loudly. It's more about those pauses in breathing and the impact they have on our bodies during sleep. Untreated sleep apnea can increase our risk of several health problems, including high blood pressure, diabetes, heart problems, and yes, stroke. It's like putting extra stress on our systems night after night without realizing it. That's why it's important to be aware of sleep apnea and seek help if we think it might be a concern. Hear what to know about sleep apnea and how to address it for better brain health after 60. Be aware of the signs, listen to your body and your bed partner. The signs of sleep apnea can sometimes be subtle, but there are clues to watch for. Do you often wake up feeling unrefreshed, even after a full night's sleep? Do you feel excessively sleepy during the day, even after getting what you think is enough sleep? Do you snore loudly, and has anyone told you that you seem to stop breathing or gasp for air during sleep? Morning headaches can also be a sign. If you live with someone, ask them if they've noticed any of these signs in your sleep. Listening to our bodies and those close to us can be really helpful in identifying potential sleep apnea. Talk to your doctor if concerned. Simple screening. If you have any of these signs, or if you're just concerned about sleep apnea, have a chat with your doctor. They can ask you some questions and may recommend a simple screening test, often done at home, to get a better idea if sleep apnea is likely. It's a straightforward process, and talking to your doctor is the first step. Sleep study if needed, getting a clear picture. If screening suggests sleep apnea might be present, your doctor might recommend a sleep study. This is usually done overnight in a sleep lab or sometimes at home, and it monitors your breathing, oxygen levels, brain waves, and other things while you sleep. It gives a very clear picture of whether you have sleep apnea and how severe it is. It's a painless and informative test. Treatment options are effective, breathing easier, sleeping soundly. If you are diagnosed with sleep apnea, the good news is that there are effective treatments available. The most common and often most effective treatment is CPAP, continuous positive airway pressure therapy. This involves wearing a mask during sleep that gently delivers air pressure to keep your airway open. It might sound a bit daunting, but many people find CPAP therapy life-changing, improving their sleep quality, reducing daytime sleepiness, and importantly, protecting their heart and brain health. There are also other treatment options like oral appliances, which your doctor can discuss with you. Lifestyle adjustments can help. Simple changes. In addition to medical treatments, some lifestyle adjustments can also help with sleep apnea. Maintaining a healthy weight, sleeping on your side instead of your back, avoiding alcohol and sedatives before bed, and establishing a regular sleep routine can all be beneficial. These simple changes can complement medical treatments and support better sleep. Addressing sleep apnea isn't just about getting a better night's sleep, though that's wonderful too. It's about protecting our long-term health, reducing our risk of stroke, and ensuring our brains are getting the oxygen they need to function optimally as we enjoy our 60s and beyond. Restful nights truly lead to healthier, more vibrant days. Step number 8. Keep blood pressure in the just right zone, gentle and consistent monitoring after 60. Our 8th step, and we're coming full circle back to where we started, is all about managing blood pressure. We know high blood pressure is a major player in stroke risk, especially as we age. So keeping our blood pressure in that just right zone, not too high, not too low, is a really important part of our stroke prevention plan after 60. Think of blood pressure like the pressure in our car tires. Too much pressure and they could burst. Too little pressure and they won't work properly. We want to keep the pressure just right for smooth and safe driving. Similarly, with our blood pressure, we want to keep it in a healthy range to protect our arteries and our brain. For those of us over 60, blood pressure management might become a more active part of our health routine. It's not about being anxious about our numbers, but about being proactive and informed and working gently and consistently to keep our blood pressure in check. Here, how to keep blood pressure in that just right zone, tailored for our age group. Regular home monitoring, be your own health advocate. Home blood pressure monitoring becomes even more valuable as we get older. It's easy to do, and it gives us a much better picture of our blood pressure in our everyday lives, rather than just during a doctor's visit, which can sometimes be a bit stressful and give a higher reading, what's called white coat hypertension. Get a good quality home blood pressure monitor, learn how to use it correctly. Your doctor's office can show you, and check your pressure regularly, perhaps once or twice a week, or as your doctor recommends. Keep a record of your readings to share with your doctor. Home monitoring empowers us to be active partners in managing our blood pressure. Know your numbers, understand your target range. Talk to your doctor about what your individual blood pressure target range should be. For many of us over 60, aiming for around 120/80 mmHg is still a good goal, but your doctor might suggest slightly different targets based on your overall health and other conditions. Understanding your target range helps you know what numbers to aim for with lifestyle changes and medication, if needed. Lifestyle approaches first, gentle and effective. For many of us, lifestyle changes can be very effective in managing blood pressure, especially in the early stages of hypertension. These include dietary changes. As we discussed earlier, reducing salt intake and eating a heart-healthy diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins can significantly lower blood pressure. Regular physical activity, even gentle exercise like walking, can help lower blood pressure. Aim for regular activity most days of the week, as we discussed in tip number 5. Weight management. If you are overweight, losing even a small amount of weight can help lower blood pressure. Stress management. Finding healthy ways to manage stress, like relaxation techniques, hobbies, or spending time in nature, can also be beneficial for blood pressure. Medication when needed, partner with your doctor. If lifestyle changes alone aren't enough to bring your blood pressure into the healthy range, your doctor may recommend medication. There are many safe and effective blood pressure medications available. It's important to partner with your doctor, discuss your concerns, and take medication as prescribed if it's recommended. Medication is not a sign of failure. It's a tool to help protect your health and reduce your stroke risk. Regular checkups. Stay in touch with your doctor. Even if your blood pressure is well controlled, regular checkups with your doctor are important. They can monitor your blood pressure, review your medications if you are on them, and make any adjustments needed. Staying in regular communication with your doctor is key to long-term blood pressure management. Keeping our blood pressure in the just right zone is a gentle but powerful act of self-care as we enjoy our 60s and beyond. It's about being informed, proactive, and working consistently with our doctors to protect our arteries and our precious brain health. Step number 9. Listen to your heart's rhythm, checking for arrhythmias, especially after 60. Our 9th and final stroke prevention step is about listening to your heart's rhythm and checking for arrhythmias, particularly atrial fibrillation or AFib. As we get older, the risk of certain heart rhythm problems, like AFib increases, and AFib can significantly increase our risk of stroke. It's like making sure the engine of our car is running smoothly and rhythmically. If it's skipping beats or running erratically, it's time to get it checked. Atrial fibrillation is an irregular and often rapid heart rhythm. Instead of beating regularly, the heart's upper chambers, the atria, beat in a disorganized way. This can lead to blood pooling in the atria and forming clots. If these clots break loose and travel to the brain, they can cause a stroke. That's why detecting and managing AFib is so important for stroke prevention, especially after 60. For those of us over 60, being aware of AFib and knowing when to seek medical advice is a valuable part of our health awareness. It's not about being overly worried, but about being informed and taking proactive steps to protect our heart and brain health. Here, what to know about checking for arrhythmias and AFib, tailored for our age group. Be aware of palpitations, fluttering or skipping heartbeats. Heart palpitations, feeling like your heart is racing, fluttering, pounding, or skipping beats, can be a symptom of AFib. If you experience these sensations, especially if they are new or frequent, pay attention and mention them to your doctor. Palpitations aren't always serious, but they can be a sign of an arrhythmia like AFib, and it's worth getting them checked out. Check your pulse regularly, simple self-check. Learning to check your pulse is a simple and useful skill. You can check your pulse at your wrist or neck. A normal resting heart rate is usually between 60 and 100 beats per minute, and it should feel regular and rhythmic. If you check your pulse and it feels consistently rapid, irregular, or if you notice skipped beats or palpitations, it's a good idea to talk to your doctor. Regular pulse checks can help you become more aware of your heart's rhythm. ECG at checkups, routine heart rhythm assessment. During your regular checkups with your doctor, they will often check your heart rhythm with an electrocardiogram, ECG, or EKG. This is a simple, painless test that records the electrical activity of your heart and can detect AFib and other arrhythmias. Routine ECGs, especially as we get older, are a valuable part of preventive care. Holter monitor if needed, catching intermittent arrhythmias. If your ECG is normal, but you are still experiencing palpitations or your doctor suspects paroxysmal AFib that comes and goes, they might recommend a Holter monitor. This is a small, portable device that you wear for 24 hours or longer, and it continuously records your heart rhythm. It can catch intermittent episodes of AFib that might be missed on a standard ECG. Wearing a Holter monitor is usually straightforward and allows for a more comprehensive heart rhythm assessment. Treatment for AFib is effective, reducing stroke risk. If you are diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, effective treatments are available to manage the arrhythmia and, most importantly, reduce your risk of stroke. The main treatment for stroke prevention in AFib is anticoagulant medication, often called blood thinners. These medications help prevent blood clots from forming in the heart and traveling to the brain. There are also other treatments to control heart rate or rhythm, which your doctor can discuss with you. Listening to your heart's rhythm and checking for arrhythmias, especially AFib, is a proactive and important step in stroke prevention as we enjoy our 60s and beyond. It's about being attuned to our bodies, seeking medical advice when needed, and taking advantage of effective treatments to protect our heart and brain health. Dietary considerations: nourishing your body, protecting your brain with wise food choices after 60. Now, before we conclude, let's briefly touch upon diet again. We've talked about specific tips for salt, sugar, and cholesterol, but what about the overall dietary pattern for stroke prevention after 60? Are there certain foods that are particularly beneficial for our brain and artery health as we get older? The answer is a resounding yes. Food is truly powerful medicine, and making wise food choices can be a delicious and enjoyable way to nourish our bodies and protect our brains from stroke. Think of food as the fuel for our engine, and choosing the right kinds of fuel can help our engine run smoother and last longer. For stroke prevention after 60, we want to focus on a dietary pattern that supports healthy blood vessels, balanced blood sugar, healthy cholesterol, and overall well-being. Here are some dietary guidelines to nourish your body and protect your brain with wise food choices after 60. Embrace the Mediterranean diet, a heart and brain-loving pattern. The Mediterranean diet is often hailed as one of the healthiest dietary patterns in the world, and it's particularly beneficial for heart and brain health. It emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, olive oil as the main fat source, and fish and poultry over red meat. It's rich in antioxidants, healthy fats, and fiber, all of which are wonderful for blood vessel health and stroke prevention. Think of the Mediterranean diet as a delicious and enjoyable way to eat for brain health. Plenty of fruits and vegetables, nature's vitamins and fiber. Let's fill our plates with colorful fruits and vegetables. Aim for at least 5 servings a day. They are packed with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber, all of which are protective for our blood vessels and overall health. Choose a variety of colors to get a wide range of nutrients. Fruits and vegetables are nature's gift to our well-being. Choose whole grains, fiber, and sustained energy. Opt for whole grains over refined grains whenever possible. Whole grains like oats, brown rice, quinoa, and whole wheat bread provide fiber, which helps regulate blood sugar and cholesterol and provides sustained energy throughout the day. They are a wholesome and satisfying choice. Lean proteins, building blocks for health. Include lean protein sources in your diet, like fish, poultry, skinless, beans, lentils, tofu, and eggs. Protein is essential for muscle health, and lean protein sources are generally lower in saturated fat than red meat. Fish, especially fatty fish like salmon, are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are particularly beneficial for heart and brain health. Healthy fats, nourishing, not fearful. Don't be afraid of healthy fats. Include sources of healthy unsaturated fats in your diet, like olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds. These fats are good for our heart and brain health and can help improve cholesterol levels. Use olive oil for cooking and salads, enjoy avocados in moderation, and snack on unsalted nuts and seeds. Limit added sugars, saturated and trans fats, and processed foods, less helpful choices. Be mindful of added sugars, saturated and trans fats, and processed foods. These can contribute to weight gain, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, and increased inflammation, all of which increase stroke risk. Limit sugary drinks, desserts, processed snacks, fried foods, and excessive amounts of red meat and processed meats. Make these less helpful choices occasional treats rather than everyday habits. Hydration is key. Water is wonderful. Don't forget about hydration. Drinking enough water throughout the day is essential for overall health and helps maintain healthy blood flow. Aim for 6-8 glasses of water a day or more if you are active or in warm weather. Water is a simple yet powerful way to support our well-being. Nourishing our bodies with wise food choices after 60 is a joyful and delicious act of self-care. It's about embracing a balanced and wholesome dietary pattern, enjoying flavorful foods, and providing our bodies and brains with the nutrients they need to thrive and stay healthy for years to come. Food is truly powerful medicine, and it's a gift we can give ourselves every day. Taking care of our health after 60 is a journey of gentle awareness, proactive steps, and self-compassion. Remember, knowledge is empowering. By understanding these warning signs of stroke and implementing these 9 prevention tips tailored for our age group, you are taking charge of your health destiny, safeguarding your brain health, and paving the way for a longer, healthier, and more vibrant life, filled with joy, connection, and continued independence. Please share this video with your loved ones, your friends, and your community. Let's spread awareness and empower each other to live healthier, stroke-free lives in our 60s and beyond. And for more information and resources on healthy aging and stroke prevention, please visit our channel Vibrant Seniors. We are here to support you on your journey to vibrant health and well-being. Take good care, stay well, and we'll see you next time.